Hey there, crime fans. Most serial killers try to stay hidden. Some go silent for decades. This guy, he literally asked the police if they could track him digitally. They said no. He believed them. Big mistake. Welcome to the Scribbled Detective, where I, ForenStick, your favorite stick figure forensic scientist, break down the science that catches killers. Today's case: how a floppy disk and the world's dumbest question ended a 31-year manhunt. Wichita, Kansas, 1974. Dennis Rader was your average suburban dad. Church council president, Boy Scout leader, home security installer. Except Dennis had a dark hobby. Between 1974 and 1991, he murdered 10 people. He broke into their homes, bound them, and strangled them. Then he'd take trophies, driver's licenses, underwear, photos. He called himself BTK, bind, torture, kill. He sent letters to police bragging about his crimes, taunting investigators. For years, BTK terrorized Wichita, and police had nothing. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no DNA technology, just fear, and a guy who loved attention. Then, in 1991, after his 10th victim, BTK went silent, completely disappeared. The case went cold. For 13 years, nothing. The BTK killer became a ghost story. Fast forward to 2004, the Wichita Eagle runs a story on the 30th anniversary of BTK's first murders. The article said the killer was a distant memory and the case was unlikely to ever be solved. Dennis Rader read that article, and his ego could not handle it. He later said that story, quote, really stirred it, end quote. So at age 59, he came out of retirement and started sending letters again. Because apparently being forgotten was worse than being caught. In March 2004, BTK sent a letter with a victim's driver's license and crime scene photos to prove he was real. Police realized their nightmare was back, but here's the twist. It wasn't 1974 anymore. This was the 21st century. Police had new tools, digital forensics, metadata analysis, things that didn't exist when BTK started killing. And Dennis Rader had no idea what he was walking into. Over the next year, BTK kept sending packages, letters, puzzles. He even sent chapter outlines for a book he was writing called The BTK Story. Yes, really. This guy wanted to be famous. Then in January 2005, someone found a cereal box in a Home Depot parking lot. Inside, a note from BTK with the most incredible question ever asked by a serial killer. Quote, "Can I communicate with Floppy and not be traced to a computer? Be honest." End quote. Let me repeat that. A serial killer asked the police if he could send them a floppy disk without being traced, and he asked them to be honest about it. The police were probably trying not to laugh. They placed an ad in the Wichita Eagle saying, quote, "Rex, it will be okay," end quote. Translation: "Sure, buddy. Send us that floppy disk. Totally safe. Trust us." Dennis Rader believed them. 2 weeks later, KSASTV received a purple floppy disk in the mail. It contained one file with typical BTK taunts. Rader thought he'd been clever. He deleted any identifying information. The disk looked clean, but here's what he didn't know. Deleted doesn't mean gone. The floppy disk went straight to Officer Randy Stone of the Wichita Police Department, who was skilled in computer forensics. Using forensic software, Stone recovered deleted files from the disk, and buried in those files was metadata. Data about data. The metadata revealed 3 critical pieces of information. The disk had been used at Christ Lutheran Church in Wichita. The last person to edit a document was someone named Dennis. The document was a church meeting agenda. It took investigators 9 days to put it together. They looked up Christ Lutheran Church's website. There, listed as congregation president, was Dennis Rader. They ran his address, found a black Jeep Cherokee that matched surveillance footage from an earlier package drop-off. But they needed DNA to be sure. They obtained a warrant to test DNA from Rader's daughter's pap smear, taken years earlier at Kansas State University's medical clinic. The DNA showed she was the daughter of BTK. On February 25, 2005, 31 years after his first murder, Dennis Rader was arrested. When police interrogated him, he confessed to all 10 murders, but he was furious about one thing, the floppy disk. Quote, "I need to ask you, how come you lied to me?" End quote. Rader was genuinely offended that police had tricked him. Lieutenant Ken Landwehr responded with the best answer possible. Quote, "Because I was trying to catch you?" End quote. Rader later admitted, quote, "The floppy did me in." End quote. You think? The BTK case is a perfect example of how digital forensics changed crime solving. Traditional police work couldn't catch Rader. For 31 years, he was invisible. No physical evidence tied him to the crimes. But one digital mistake exposed everything. Here's what metadata can reveal. Who created a file? What device created it? When it was created or modified? Where it was created? Even after you delete something, that information can still be recovered because deleting a file doesn't actually erase the data. It just tells the computer that space can be overwritten. Until something new takes its place, the old data is still there. In Rader's case, he'd used his church computer because his home printer was broken. He created a document, printed it, and thought deleting it made him safe. But the metadata embedded in that deleted Microsoft Word file told investigators exactly who he was and where he'd been. Today, digital forensics has exploded beyond floppy disks. Every phone, computer, email, photo, and social media post leaves digital breadcrumbs. Your phone's location history, your browser's search history, cloud backups, app data, it's all there, and it's all traceable. Modern criminals face a world where everything creates evidence. So what did we learn today? First, never ask your enemies for advice. Second, delete doesn't mean delete. Third, ego will absolutely destroy you. Dennis Rader spent 31 years evading capture. He was meticulous in his crimes. He wore gloves, he planned carefully, he left no physical evidence, but his need for attention brought him out of hiding. And his ignorance of technology handed police the evidence they needed. He was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences, minimum 175 years, and is currently serving time in near complete isolation at El Dorado Correctional Facility in Kansas. He's 79 years old now, and every day he probably thinks about that floppy disk. The BTK case proved something important. The future of forensics is digital. Your devices know where you've been, what you've done, and who you've talked to. And unlike human witnesses who forget or lie, digital evidence remembers everything. This has been the Scribbled Detective. I'm ForenStick, reminding you that in the digital age, there's no such thing as anonymous. If you learned something today, hit that like button, stay curious, stay smart, and never trust the police when they say you can't be traced, because spoiler alert, you absolutely can be traced. See you next time, crime fans.